What's going on, guys? It's your boy Gamers Goon here today to go over my NBA 2019-2020 preseason award winners. These are the guys I think are going to win their respective awards. We'll go over them in a minute. So, who do I think is going to win the MVP? I'll give you my top five, and then I'll tell you who I think is the front runner. But we're going to start off with who I believe is going to be the most improved player. Now, for this, I have five candidates, and these are all based on opportunity. Now, we look at the first guy, Miles Bridges. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to improve his game this year. Last year, I believe he averaged 7.5 points with the Hornets. The Hornets did lose Kemba Walker, so Miles Bridges is going to need to take a step up, along with possibly P.J. Washington in there, maybe a dark horse rookie of the year in P.J. Washington. But Miles Bridges is going to have the opportunity to become something special this year, and he's really going to have to if this Hornets team wants to remain relevant in the NBA. He will have the opportunity, so that's why Miles Bridges is in my top five for most improved player, because Miles Bridges should hypothetically get around about 15 plus points a game, and that's about double what he had last year. So if he does do that, I do think he'll be able to enter into some most improved player talks, because his team isn't going to be anything special this year. He should be one of the more valuable scorers for them, so I don't imagine they use him as a trade piece to get something, but I'd be shocked if that happens. But Miles Bridges is going to have the opportunity there to hopefully make something out of nothing, because the Hornets are in an unfortunate situation as a franchise, and Miles Bridges is probably one of the only high spots right now with that organization. Next, we have Thomas Bryant. He is going to be good. I'm telling you right now, Thomas Bryant's going to be good. He's going to be a dark horse for the most improved player. I think putting him with Bradley Beal in Washington, and obviously Wall, we don't know his timetable, so he might not even play this season. But I think Thomas Bryant is going to be a little more of the focus this year, because the Wizards aren't very good. Sure, you'll hear the conversation about Brad Beal. Maybe they get a couple wins. Maybe they go 30 and whatever. Maybe they get those off the back of Brad Beal. But when you look at this team, the second guy for them should be Thomas Bryant. It should be Thomas Bryant. I think Thomas Bryant is going to impress a lot of people if they do watch a Wizards game. Obviously, he'll be able to get rebounds, and I think he can be a 13, 14-point scorer this year. Obviously, it's not a huge improvement from last year in terms of Thomas Bryant, but I think Thomas Bryant is good enough all around that he could definitely be in the most improved player category. Next, we got Mo Bamba. Now, Mo Bamba didn't have a really good year last year. I mean, he was sitting behind Vucevic, who, in my opinion, had one of the best offensive years as a center outside of Joel Embiid. But Mo Bamba, he's going to be entering a situation now. They don't have a power forward solidified in Orlando now. So he might be looking at a power forward spot, because he could shoot a little. Or they can move Vucevic, and Mo Bamba can enter the center spot. But I do expect them to play both Vooch and Bamba in at the same time. So the opportunity might be there for Bamba, because if you're looking at that roster, I mean, obviously you have Aaron Gordon. He could play small forward. Then you got the guards. I mean, you got Terrence Ross, and probably who else you want to put in there? Markelle Fultz as the starter, and have DJ coming off the bench. I think Bamba could see some good rotational minutes and definitely be a lot better than what he was last year, because they didn't really get much out of Bamba. They didn't really get much out of him. Next is kind of a player that I think we all think is good. He's a playmaker. He's on the Spurs. DeJounte Murray. He's been unfortunate in his NBA tenure so far. He's been hurt a couple times. Just really never had the opportunity. You see, now that they got DeRozan and LMA this year, I think DeJounte can really show off his playmaking ability this year if he stays healthy. Because you got DeRozan. He'll be a mid-range guy, a drive guy. Then you got LMA, who can finish at the rim and give you the mid-range. Neither of them are real true three-point shooters. But I think DeJounte Murray can show his playmaking ability this year and hopefully get the Spurs into the playoffs, as you'll see in the later video that I believe will be posted tomorrow morning, because tomorrow is the start of the NBA season. Today is Monday. Tuesday is the beginning of the NBA season, so I will be uploading that video most likely tomorrow morning. But I think the Spurs have a chance of getting into the playoffs. I really do. And last, and certainly not least for the most improved player, we got a guy that's on one of the lower end teams. You'll see that's kind of the theme here is they're not on a great team, and that's Mikal Bridges. Now, obviously, we had Miles earlier, but Mikal is somebody who had a better year than Miles last year. I'd say Mikal had more minutes. Well, I wouldn't say he had more minutes, but he looked good in his minutes. Obviously, he isn't the flashy player like Bridges doing a windmill in the middle of the game. But Mikal, a good defender, good shooter. He's been pretty decent with Devin Booker so far. You're going to have Ayton. You're going to add Rubio. I think Mikal Bridges, as a small forward, could possibly have a good year. You're looking at this team, and they're starting to put a lot of young, good pieces together. And Rubio might be the glue for it all. I really do think he will be. And I think if you have Rubio, it's going to only make Mikal Bridges look better because he can just sit there and hit some threes for you, play his defense, and really he's just kind of having an under the radar good year. I really think that Mikal Bridges could be something in the MIP race for most improved. But who do I think is going to win it? I am going to tell you right now. The guy I have winning it is this man right here. Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant, I believe, is going to improve from last year. He's going to get the eyes on him because he's going to have Brad Beal there. So obviously people will be watching him. No, it's as many people as maybe one of the bigger markets, such as in LA, or Chicago, and New York. Maybe not. But I think Bryant could get some eyes on him because he does have that star that people are going to be scouting and seeing, hey, well, what if we want to trade for Brad Beal? Let's go check out Brad Beal's game. And I think Thomas Bryant might be one of those guys you look at and be like, well, he's a really underappreciated guy. I think he could be something good. I do expect Thomas Bryant to have a breakout year in 2019-2020. Rookie of the Year! Now, as you see, I am wearing a Bulls, so let's get the obvious out of the way. Kobe White is going to be a Rookie of the Year candidate. He's going to keep the pace fast for Chicago. If you did not watch his last preseason game, he had 29 points and hit 6 for 8 from beyond the arc. Now, that's not something he usually does. He can be streaky at times, but that's kind of what Trae Young was last year. He had some very good games, and he had some questionable games where he maybe shot 13 threes and only made 1 or something like that. But I'm not comparing Kobe to Trae Young in any standpoint. I think Kobe can be fast. He gets to the bucket. He'll finish in the lane. He's a decent playmaker. He can play some defense. I really do think Kobe White has a chance at Rookie of the Year. Is it a far-off chance? Yes. That's barring some crazy situation where all these other rookies I'm going to talk about don't live up to their hype. But Kobe White isn't a guy that you're just going to say, nah, he's not going to be in the talks. I think he has the capability. He has the skill set. He's got the pace that everybody likes to see. He's the exciting kind of player people want to see. I think he has a chance to be, because in the Rookie of the Year, it's really just who's been the most popular over the year, who had the most hype around him. Because we saw that last year. Trae Young, obviously, great year. But Luka had the hype all year. Trae started gaining it later in the year because he had that kind of negative connotation where all he does is shoot and he can't make the shots. And then he started making his shots and people fell in love with him. But Luka ended up winning it because Luka maintained the pace. So Kobe might end up in one of those Trae Young spots where he doesn't really break out until the end and just can't get it going. But I think Kobe White is definitely in the discussion. Next, we got the first point guard taken in the draft, Ja Morant. Now, obviously, this is basically all because the Grizzlies are going to be bad this year. Outside of Jaren Jackson, I don't have much hope for the Grizzlies. I really don't. There's not much that I look at on the team and say they have a chance to win a playoff spot. They have Brandon Clark. I mean, there's nothing I look at there and say, you know what, you guys have a chance. Are they a bad team in any standpoint? Kind of. They got the youth. They got the right pieces, but yeah, they're not ready yet Ja is going to have the opportunity to come out night one. He's going to be a starter. I think he'll be able to turn some heads, maybe get a good 16, 17 points a game, 6, 7 assists a game, a couple rebounds here and there. But I think Ja is going to be one of those guys that you're going to look at the end of the 2019-2020 season. I think you're going to have a very good case on to why he should be the Rookie of the Year. Next, we got obviously the most hyped guy in the entire rookie class, that being Zion Williamson. We've heard about it for 2 years, and by 2 years, I mean we heard about this his senior year of high school, how he was going to come in, he was going to be a game changer in college basketball. He came into college basketball, and he was a game changer. Not many people could stop him in college. Not many people, unless you're 7'3", like Cabangeli, you couldn't stop him. And I wouldn't even say that Cabangeli really stopped him. More so their team stopped the Duke team. But Zion's going to be good. He's going to be good. He has the opportunity. He will start night one. He will be one of the guys. It's going to be exciting basketball for New Orleans, something that they haven't had in a while. You're going to have Zion go out there, and he's probably going to give you about a good 15, 6, and maybe 4. 6 rebounds, 7 rebounds, something like that, and 4 or 5 assists a game. He could very well have a lot more than that because he is a playmaker. I could see him being in that situation, but there's a lot of guys on that team that like to run. They all can distribute the ball. You got Zion, you got Lonzo, you got B.I., you got Josh Hart. A lot of the Lakers, actually, they can just go. I mean, all of them can handle the ball. They all can push it. And obviously, you guys got Jackson Hayes. I don't know how much he will push the ball because, in my opinion, he's more of a post big. A post big. Don't get on me if you think Jackson Hayes is something great in transition. But in my opinion, he is the least likely out of everybody to take it to coast. I think Zion could be very fun in New Orleans. So, obviously, the hype will be around Zion for a lot of the year. And tomorrow's Tuesday. They don't play on Tuesday. They play on Wednesday, I believe, the Pelicans do. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of eyes on that Pelicans game to see if Zion is the generational talent that we all claim and imagine and predict him to be. I think he will live up to the hype. Next, we have an under-the-radar guy. Now, he will be playing with some guys that aren't really known for shooting. Goran Dragic. He's got Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. The opportunity will be there for Tyler Hero. Now, this kid, I think, is going to be a good player. Now, I don't think he's going to come out here and be hyped up to the level of a Zion. I don't think he's going to come out here and actually win the Rookie of the Year. But I think he will definitely make a pretty solid case that, look, I came into the league. I was a mid-first round guy. I came in, I did my role, I hit threes, I played defense. I did all they asked me to do, and the Heat ended up in the playoffs. I think Tyler Hero is one of those guys. He'll get the job done. He will get the job done. Do I think that it's going to be enough to beat all these other rookies? Maybe not, but Tyler Hero is somebody I would keep an eye on if I was watching the NBA, which I will be. But if you're going to pay attention to the rookies this year, I'd keep a keen eye on Tyler Hero because I expect some things. I expect to see some things out of Tyler Hero, and I think he might live up to what I'm expecting. Next, and certainly not last. Well, actually he is last, but certainly not least. We got another guy from Duke that probably has a better case than Ja Morant at being a Rookie of the Year candidate. And that is R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett is what a lot of people think better than Zion. Obviously, R.J. was able to show it a little bit. He's had his rough games at Duke where he might not score as much as he shot. But R.J. Barrett, obviously a scoring guard. He will get the job done by putting points up. He will be a playmaker for you. He will play some defense for you. R.J. Barrett is going to have the opportunity. He will be on the Knicks. The Knicks, they got Kevin Knox. They got Moutier. They got DSJ. Actually, do they sell DSJ? I don't even know. That's how much I care about the Knicks. But they have Julius Randle. They got some veterans on there. They have some youth. Obviously, Alonzo Trier's still there. RJ's going to have a lot of opportunity there to grow. And this could be a year where the Knicks, they could maybe get to the 8th seed in the East because the East isn't really that strong. But if I'm the Knicks, I just let RJ grow. If RJ wants to go out and score 20 points a game, let him go. Let him go. Because in 2 or 3 years, when you guys do have these guys like Kevin Knox, and you still have Julius Randle, and you still have the Alonzo Triers, you're going to be nasty. You're going to be nasty. They have the right pieces. I let RJ grow. RJ, I think, could be a big-time scorer for the Knicks. And that means, who am I going to take for my Rookie of the Year? Now, I did just hype up everybody's case. Like I said, Ja has a good case. RJ has a good case. And maybe Tyler Hero, and Kobe White might have a little bit of a case. But who am I taking? I am taking none other than the most hyped up man in the entire sport. I think he will live up to the hype. I am taking Zion Williamson. You like that graphic? I love it. Zion, man, he's finally here. Just 2 days away. We are going to see if Zion really can hang it in the big leagues. I really think Zion's going to be something special in the NBA. Next, we got Defensive Player of the Year. Now, for this, I think we might see a little interesting competition here. And I'm going to actually start it off with Pat Bev. Obviously, Pat Bev is a good defender. Obviously, nobody's going to argue that Pat Bev's a good defender. He's been one of those candidates for a long time. Hasn't won it in a while. He is going to be on the Clippers. I don't know how much time he will get, but I think Pat Bev, obviously, is always a candidate for the Defensive Player of the Year. Next, we got Kawhi Leonard. We've all seen how good Kawhi can defend. He's going to be on a new team in the Clippers, but I think he will maintain his solid defense, especially now that he got Paul George next to him, and Paul George has been a decent defender, but I think he will have to pick up some of the slack there. So Kawhi Leonard's going to be an option. And then we get to the Pelicans. The Pelicans have 2 guys that I think could be Defensive Player of the Years. First, Lonzo. Lonzo, I mean, you might not have seen him at LA, but when he did play at LA, he typically guard the best scorer on the other team, and he'd do a decent job at it. Lonzo could hold people from scoring. Lonzo's been a good defender. At least in the NBA, he's been a good defender. Obviously, he was recruited and he was drafted based on his playmaking, but his defense has been the most impressive thing about Lonzo. It has been. Sure, he makes some great passes, but I think his defense is one of the best attributes about Lonzo. And definitely now that he hopefully has a full season in New Orleans, he should have a chance to possibly be something special, especially on the defensive side of things. That's going to be a good defensive team. You got Zion, you got him, you got Drew. B.I. is going to be the weak link. B.I.'s not a horrible defender, but he's not good by any means. And if B.I. is the worst defender on your team, I don't think there's much of an issue. And then we got, obviously, Drew Holiday. Same team, the Pelicans. What can't Drew Holiday do defensively? That man's been great on defense. He's one of the highly respected defensive players in the league. So, obviously, Drew Holiday is going to get in the conversation, especially now that people will be watching Pelican games. He's going to be in the conversation because he will get mainstream attention. Same thing with Lonzo. He's going to have mainstream attention, so people are going to take notice if he gets 3 steals a game or a steal and a half a game and a block. People will notice, especially now that has Zion in his team and he has B.I. and Lonzo. If he plays the defense he's played throughout his career, Drew can be something special this year. Next, we got the 2-time reigning defending Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. This man, he might not be one of the bigs that can get around on the perimeter if he ends up switching. but try to drive on Rudy Gobert, he'll block it. Rudy Gobert, he is a rim protector through and through. I don't see how anybody can make a case how Rudy Gobert does not win for the third time in a row, because Rudy Gobert has been great defensively. You're not going to score on Rudy Gobert in the paint. It's just not going to happen very often. That is why I am taking Rudy Gobert to three-peat. See the graphic? You like it? Rudy Gobert is going to three-peat for the Defensive Player of the Year for 2019-2020. You think I'm wrong, Jazz fans? You think I'm wrong? Watch Rudy Gobert win for the third time. Next, we got Coach of the Year, and unfortunately, I don't have a graphic for this. I know, I'm sorry. But we will still talk about it. The Coach of the Year, I have 5 guys right now that I think could be it. Obviously, we got Mike Budenholzer, the coach of the Bucks, who I think could be a very good team this year, especially with Giannis. And then, obviously, Chris Middleton's coming back. And then they got the Lopez brothers. You got my boy Robin. He robbed us of a lot of things, especially fun basketball. Sorry. Bulls fan coming out of me. Sorry. Next, we got Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors have a narrative behind them this season. They're going to be without 2 of the stars they played with the last 2 years, in Clay and KD. So, obviously, Kerr, if he's able to turn that team around and really make them a top 3, top 4, or even put them in the playoffs after everything they've lost, Kerr could easily be in the conversation for Coach of the Year. Then we got Brett Brown of the 76ers. I think he could be a dark horse candidate. I think he could be, because if you're asking me, Ben Simmons, he has a 3 now. I don't know how consistent it'll be, but he has a 3 now. Then you got Joel, you got Tobias. I mean, it could be an interesting little situation over there in Philly. And obviously, if the wins come, then Brett Brown might find his way into Coach of the Year discussion. Next, we got the L.A. Lakers coach. We got Frank Vogel. Now, he is going to be another person with the narrative. He's coming into this organization, and he is basically given a good team that failed to make the playoffs last year. Everybody thought they could make the playoffs last year. They went out, they traded for AD. Frank Vogel, if he turns this team into a top 2, top 3 team in the West, one of the harder divisions or conferences, he could very easily be in discussion for Coach of the Year. To take a team that wasn't in the playoffs last year and to flip them into the second and third in the West, that's something to be proud of. That's something that gains a Coach of the Year discussion. Now, might it have been because they just underperformed last year even though they had the same talent? Sure. But a lot of it's going to be put on Frank Vogel. And next, obviously, we got one of the guys that he's been a little controversial of a coach, Mike D'Antoni. Now, the little controversy with him is basically all he really likes to do is just let's put points on the board, and if we win, we win. That's all Mike D'Antoni really does for the Rockets. Do I think he's bad? No. He's able to coach Harden. He's able to coach Capella. He's able to coach Eric Gordon. Now he's going to coach CP3. Well, my bad. Wow. Russell Westbrook. He's gonna coach Russell Westbrook. But I don't really think he has much of a chance. They will be a good team this year, in my opinion, but I don't think he's going to be the guy. The guy I got is Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel is going to have the narrative behind him with LeBron for the first time ever missing the playoffs. He's going to be able to turn it around and get LeBron back into the playoffs. Frank Vogel's the guy. Next, we got MVP. It would not be MVP talk without LeBron himself. Obviously, LeBron is going to have a scenario where he is going to be very, very out there. A lot of people are going to watch LeBron closely this year more than ever. Because he's coming off a year where he underperformed. Well, he didn't underperform, but his team underperformed. Everybody's going to want to see, does LeBron come back with a vengeance? Does he want this as bad as everybody thinks he will? I think he'll come back with that. Next, we got his teammate, Anthony Davis. A guy a lot of people are thinking might be the MVP, and I'll agree with them. He's going to be in the big market. Anthony Davis was a guy in New Orleans who could have been an MVP candidate, but there's not a big enough market there for them to possibly gain the respect of everybody. But now he's going to have that, and if he plays the basketball we've seen him play in the past, could easily be a candidate. Next, we got Kawhi. He's going to be in the LA market too, and obviously he's been phenomenal throughout his career, offensively and defensively. Then we got the reigning and defending MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think he will be a big part as to why the Bucks are successful this year if they are. And then we got Steph Curry. Steph Curry, obviously, he has a narrative with him, and that's the big thing. He has the narrative. How does Steph Curry play this year? How does he play this year when last year he had Curry, KD, Draymond still, Clay, Iggy was still there. They lost a lot of pieces. And now Curry, I think he might have to pull 30 points out of the game. He might have to go back to the old Curry before KD where he's scoring 30 a game and might become the MVP. And that's exactly why for my MVP of the 2019-2020 year, it's going to be Steph Curry. Now, you might be looking at me, how did James Harden just fall out of this? What do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to tell you? I think everybody in here has it. Like, I already justified. LeBron and AD, they're going to be in the big market. They're going to play good basketball. Kawhi's going to play good basketball. He has the big market. Giannis, he won the thing last year. And then I obviously think Steph Curry is going to take a major step up from what he's been doing. And go back to that MVP Curry. I think we see that from all of them. If there's a sixth guy, it's going to be Harden. Believe me, Harden. It's hard not putting Harden in the list. But I think I did the right decision there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you do tune in to the preseason power ranking video, which shall be interesting. We'll see how that works out. And thank you guys for watching.